I never questioned my childhood memories, until I realized most of them were missing. My mom said we lived in that house for 3 years, but I only remember 7 months. 7 months filled with things I still can't explain. A cat that appeared through locked doors, a voice that whispered my name when no one was home. And one night, I opened a closet door, only to find something already waiting for me inside. It had red eyes, and it was smiling. Why can't I remember the rest of that house? And what really happened while we lived there? Stick with me, and keep watching till the end of this video to know exactly what I had passing by. But before we start, don't forget to hit subscribe or follow so you'll never miss a spine-tingling episode. If you're enjoying our content, please give us a like, drop a comment, and share this video to help us reach 100 likes. Every like brings us one step closer to the next terrifying episode. And if you want even more creepy content, follow us on our social media platforms for the latest updates. Thank you all for being part of this journey with me. And now, let's dive into the darkness together. When I was about 9 years old, my mother moved my brother Eli and me into an old house near the school where she worked in rural South Africa. It seemed like a fresh start. The neighborhood was quiet, the house spacious, and close to everything we needed. But even then, something about that place felt wrong. Years later, while talking with my mother, I said something that completely threw her off. "I'm just glad we only lived there for 7 months," I told her. She looked at me, stunned. 7 months? We lived in that house for 3 years. No matter how hard I try, I can't remember anything beyond those 7 months. My memory is a black hole. What I do remember is strange, unsettling, and hard to explain. There was a gray Persian cat that always found its way into our house. No matter how tightly the doors and windows were shut, we'd turn around and it would be inside, sitting silently, staring at us. We eventually got used to it. I still have a photo of that cat. Cold eyes, stiff posture, always watching. The room I shared with Eli was always freezing, especially at night. We couldn't sleep in there, no matter how many blankets we used. Eventually, we both started sleeping next to Mom. Each morning, without fail, we'd hear the sound of metal scraping and pots being stirred in the kitchen. Mom always warned us, "Don't go in there when it's happening." Of course, one day I did. That's when I saw it. A black figure, human-shaped but entirely featureless, standing by the sink. It didn't move. It didn't speak. It just stood there, watching me. Eli and I shared birthday parties since we were only a few days apart. I vaguely recall one of them. I was walking down the hallway alone. Everyone else was outside. Suddenly I heard breathing, close, heavy, right behind me. I turned. Nothing was there. One of the clearest memories I have is looking into the bathroom mirror and seeing a face that wasn't mine staring back. I don't remember ever using that bathroom again. That image has stayed with me longer than any other from that house. Then came the night I woke to find my mom sitting upright, staring into the corner of the room. I looked too. There were 2 glowing red eyes staring back at us. She whispered, "Close your eyes. Don't look." I shut my eyes, and the room began to shake violently. Earthquakes aren't common where we lived. But that night, something tried to break through. Eli told me that every day after school, he'd see a black figure sitting by the window as we approached the house. It would vanish the moment we got to the door. I never saw it, but I always felt it. The last memory I have from that house is the most haunting. I used to play hide and seek with my mom when she got home from work. One day I chose the bedroom closet as my hiding spot. I heard her calling my name and stifled a giggle. Then I heard something else giggle, right next to me. My blood froze. I slowly turned my head. The same black figure was sitting there inside the closet, eyes glowing red, smiling at me. After that, the dreams began. They started small, seeing our cat chase the Persian cat outside, something she never did. Then one day, it happened, exactly like in the dream. Another dream had me twisting my ankle before a netball tournament. Days later, I injured myself the same way in practice. It kept happening. More dreams, more outcomes repeating. The worst one was when I dreamt about a driving instructor. He spoke to me like a child, wore a green sweater, and made me feel like I would fail. When the time came to learn driving years later, I met that exact man, exact car, exact voice. I switched instructors. Then I dreamed of my death. I told my mom, I won't make it past 33. I'm 32 now. Ever since leaving that house, my memories feel alien, like I'm watching someone else's life from outside. When I close my eyes, I see shadow figures towering over me, smiling with that same grin the closet figure had. My dreams are full of demons now, whispering, "We're coming for you." Over time, they started saying, "Your time is near." Then I met a man who told me something that still chills me. You have two shadow beings attached to you, but a larger one is waiting to claim you. He said he could help and did some kind of cleansing. After that, he disappeared. Since then, something shifted. It was like I woke up in my own body for the first time. I stopped being impulsive, stopped trying to hurt myself, stopped feeling like I was disconnected from my own decisions. It was like I was finally in control, but the guilt of everything I did while not in control hit me like a flood. I can't shake the feeling that something's coming. My body feels like it's fading, like I'm running out of time. I try to tell myself it's paranoia, that I've just been through too much. But the dreams, the shadows, the memories, they haven't stopped. And now, as I edge closer to 33, I feel it watching again. This is something I've never fully talked about, at least not in detail, because I still struggle to understand what actually happened. I'm not someone who jumps to the paranormal. I didn't grow up believing in ghosts. But after what I experienced when I was 11, I don't know what else to call it. This all happened when I was about 11 years old, when my family moved into an old house somewhere in the woods outside a small town. We just lost our apartment in the city after my dad lost his job, and my mom managed to find this place through a friend of a friend. I remember the rent was suspiciously cheap for a 3-bedroom house, but at the time, we were just grateful to have a roof over our heads. From the outside, it didn't seem that bad. It was worn down and clearly neglected, but it had a weird charm to it. Tall windows, peeling white paint, a creaky porch that wrapped around the front. There was no driveway, just a dirt path through the woods leading to the house. The forest around it felt dense, like it was pressing in on all sides. Inside, it was dark even during the day. The layout was strange. Too many tight hallways and odd doorways that didn't lead where you'd expect. The attic was especially unsettling. It took up the entire top floor, accessed by a narrow wooden staircase tucked behind the kitchen. That's where we found the doll. She was sitting in an old, dusty rocking chair in the corner, partially hidden behind boxes. The first time I saw her, I actually thought she was a real child. I remember feeling cold when I got closer and realized she was porcelain. Her face was cracked in one spot near her cheek, and her dress looked like it had once been white but was now a dull gray. She had dirty blonde curls and tiny fingers curled stiffly in her lap. What stuck with me most were her eyes. Glass, yes, but lifelike. Way too lifelike. They weren't just looking forward, they were watching. My little sister, Emily, hated her from the start. She was 9 at the time, and told Mom that the doll gave her nightmares, even though she'd only seen her once. We all left her in the attic. No one wanted her in the bedrooms, and there was a general agreement without words that we just wouldn't touch her. That should have been the end of it. But not long after we moved in, I started waking up around the same time every night, somewhere between 2 and 3 a.m. I'd hear footsteps above my room, slow, deliberate ones, moving back and forth. I tried to tell myself it was the house settling, or rats, or maybe the wind moving things around. That worked for a while, until I started hearing the giggling. Faint, childlike, like someone was playing a game just out of view. The attic door would be open some mornings. I knew for a fact I had shut it. My mom swore she didn't open it. We started locking it at night. Then the doll started showing up in places she hadn't been. First, it was just subtle shifts. She'd be facing the window instead of the door. Then, she'd be a foot away from the chair. One morning, she was sitting on the attic stairs, perfectly still, like someone had posed her there. My mom thought it was a prank. She thought one of us was doing it for attention. I thought Emily was trying to mess with me, but she swore on everything she didn't touch the doll. She was actually scared to even go upstairs after that. Things got worse quickly. Lights started flickering constantly. The microwave would beep in the middle of the night. The hallway light would turn on by itself. My mom blamed faulty wiring, but we had an electrician come out. Nothing was wrong. One night, I woke up and saw the doll at the foot of my bed. She wasn't dusty anymore. Her dress looked like it had been washed. The crack in her face was gone. She looked restored. Her smile was wider than I remembered, and her eyes, those eyes, were glowing. Not brightly, just a faint red glimmer like embers behind glass. I froze. I couldn't move. It was like my body didn't belong to me. I don't remember falling asleep. I just remember waking up and she was gone. We found her later in the kitchen, sitting in the sink, perfectly upright. The water was running. That was the breaking point. My mom called someone she knew from town, a local woman who collected folklore and old records. She came by, walked through the house, and said she felt something wrong in the air. She told us the house had a reputation, that back in the 1940s, a little girl named Margaret had lived there. She'd gotten sick, locked herself in the attic, and died. She was buried nearby. And that doll, it had been hers. The woman told us stories about how the doll had changed hands a few times. Each time, strange things happened. Families moved away suddenly. One house had burned down. Another was left abandoned overnight, dinner still on the table. We tried to leave the next morning. The car wouldn't start. Our bags were packed, but the front door wouldn't open. Emily screamed from upstairs, saying she saw someone in the mirror behind her. That night, we all slept in the same room. Just past midnight, the power went out. In the pitch black, I heard the chair rocking. Slow, steady. And then, laughter. Not loud, just enough to freeze the blood in your veins. When the lights flicked back on, the doll was in the middle of the living room floor, facing us. Her smile was gone this time. We left the next morning without our things. Just walked down the road, didn't even lock the door behind us. We never went back. Sometimes, I dream about her. I'll wake up thinking she's in my room. I'll see movement in shadows that isn't there. And sometimes I'll swear I hear the sound of that rocking chair, creaking slowly, somewhere just out of sight. I was never the superstitious type, never believed in ghosts or anything paranormal. That was, until something happened to me. It started when I was about 15, living in a small town in Oregon. We had this old 2-story house with a creaky attic above my bedroom. Around 1 or 2 in the morning, almost every night, I'd hear footsteps pacing above my ceiling. Not creaks from settling wood, but deliberate walking. I brushed it off as rodents at first, until my girlfriend Riley stayed over one weekend. We were watching a movie when we both heard it. Clear, steady footsteps above us. Her eyes went wide, and that's when I knew it wasn't just in my head. Back then, I was going through a rough time. I had gotten involved with drugs, trying to numb the chaos in my life. And the more I spiraled, the more intense the strange activity in the house became. It was like the darkness inside me was feeding something else, something unseen. At 16, I was alone most nights. My mom's room was across the hall, but she was working late shifts. The upstairs had 3 bedrooms and a single bathroom. One night, I heard faint scratching at my door. Thinking it was our golden retriever, Duke. I opened it, but Duke wasn't there. Instead, I was met with pitch blackness in the hallway. It wasn't just darkness, it was a void. Directly across from me, my mom's door stood open, but the frame was swallowed in a suffocating black that seemed to breathe. I stood frozen. I don't know if it was 2 minutes or 10. I couldn't move. I couldn't think. Then something snapped in me. I bolted. I ran barefoot outside, jumped into my car, and called my best friend Jason, begging to stay the night. When I turned 17, things escalated. I moved into my older brother's old room after he left to live with his girlfriend. It was smaller, with 2 narrow windows, a ceiling fan, and double closets. With my dad out of the picture, and my mom almost always at her boyfriend's place, I had the house to myself most nights. That's when the playful part started, if you could call it that. I'd place my TV remote and controller neatly at the foot of my bed, and I'd hear buttons being pressed or the keys on my dresser being moved. Then it turned darker. My covers started getting yanked off me in the night. I heard my name whispered from the hallway, spoken in my mom's voice, though I knew she wasn't home. One night, me and 4 friends went to an abandoned children's hospital just outside of town, infamous for being haunted. The place had a heavy air to it, like grief soaked into the walls. We didn't stay long, but we all felt something follow us back. That night was the worst of my life. I woke up at exactly 3 a.m. My TV was on, casting a dim glow across the room. I had 5 or 6 posters on my wall. Out of nowhere, every single one began to slide down the walls, slowly but all at once. My closet door slammed open, my candle was knocked off my desk, and my TV flicked off. I screamed like I never had before. My mom rushed in to find posters on the ground, my candle cracked on the floor, and me shaking under the blanket. That's when I started sleeping with a rosary around my neck. After that, more odd things happened. Dumbbells would roll across the floor on their own. My silverware drawer would be open in the morning with spoons twisted unnaturally. Duke would growl at the stairs, refusing to go up. When I was home alone, he'd bark toward the hallway, then run to me trembling. Lights flickered on and off regularly. One evening, I was playing piano, back turned to the door, when I felt a small hand grip my shoulder. I turned around instantly. No one was there. I said aloud, "Don't touch me," as my bedroom door creaked shut behind me. 2 incidents finally pushed me to leave. The first was a dream. I saw a girl with jet black hair standing outside my window. She was sobbing silently. As I got out of bed in the dream, she turned to face me. Her eyes were pure white. She whispered, "It'll be okay." A few nights later, I dreamed of my grandfather, who had passed away a year earlier. He stood in a blizzard, wide-eyed like the girl, and said, "Winter is the shortest season, my son." I still don't know what he meant, but the worst was waking up one night and seeing the girl from my dream standing at the end of the hallway. Same hair, same pale skin, same white eyes. My dad, who was crashing at the house one night, said she pulled the blanket off him in his sleep. We both moved out not long after. Now, years later, I still think about that house. Was it just a spirit, or something darker? Was it tied to my emotional state back then? Sometimes I wonder if I should go back, but I know better than to tempt something that never really let me go. If you've made it to the end of this video, let me know in the comments which story creeped you out the most. And if you could survive only one of these stories, which one would it be? Also, drop "I made it" and mention our channel in the comments below. I want to know who my loyal followers are so I can give you a shout out in our next videos. And lastly, if you've experienced a terrifying encounter or have a horror story to share, send it to us on Reddit. And if you want to support the channel and help us create even more spine-chilling content, check out our Patreon or Ko-Fi. Your support means the world to us. Don't forget to like and share the video, and now, stay tuned for our next horror episode.